The only day I have to film and they have to do yard work right outside. Ugh. My name is Kim Rosas, and I would consider myself a menstrual cup and menstrual disc expert, and I have almost 10 years of experience in this field, not only using them, but also teaching other people how and making content on the same subject. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe for more of whatever this is. And if you don't know, I run Period.Nirvana.com. That's a place where you can find a lot of information to help you find the right cup or succeed with that right cup or disc. And I also run the retail store Period.Shop, which is the first curated selection of reusable menstrual products on the internet in the US. So definitely, if you're shopping, check that out. We also accept HSA payments for your period products, which is super handy. Now let's get to the content. Once you've been using your menstrual cup for a few cycles, it shouldn't be leaking. There is what we call a learning curve, and that lasts between 1 and 3 cycles. And for some people, they never have to go through it at all. But most of us are going to have to tweak and troubleshoot how we insert our cup, how we fold our cup, check for leaks, all those things to get it completely leak-free for the best experience possible. Before we go into the 10 things I'm going to suggest you do, not all of them, some of them, let's also talk about one little thing that I don't see mentioned all the time, and that is the concept of wiping leaks. Wiping leaks with menstrual cups are just a little pink or a little light blood on the tissue, and this is something you may see when you go to the bathroom, but you don't see any leaks in your underwear or your liners, whatever you're wearing. If you're just getting wiping leaks, this is not something that I feel is a concern. There's some residual blood that might fall down. You catch it when you're wiping, but if it's in your underwear, that is a leak. Time for the first tip. Number 1, start with a good fitting cup. This one seems kind of like a no-brainer, but if you just randomly pick a menstrual cup without having a lot of background knowledge, or you didn't really look into the directions, then you might have a cup that's just simply not going to work for you and it might leak. If you get something that's too narrow, then you're going to have leaks. If you get something that's too wide and firm that won't completely open inside you, it's going to leak. I'm going to recommend that the best thing to do is take the quiz on Period.Nirvana.com, because what that quiz does is walk you through all the things that you don't know you even need to ask yourself when picking a cup. You can go to the store and you can read the back of the box and see the under 30, over 30, no pregnancy, full-term pregnancy. And chances are you'll probably get really lucky and pick something that fits you well. But for those who don't pick the right cup and don't know, then they're going to be frustrated and have leaks, and that sucks. Tip number 2 is inserting your menstrual cup at the right angle. This one is something that I think a lot of people overlook. When you're new to cups, you just sort of assume that when you insert it, it goes in straight. But actually, you want to insert it towards your tailbone at an angle. So instead of it just going straight, you actually have a bit of a slant. And if you're trying to go straight, that's going to make it potentially go in a place it doesn't need to. It might have difficulty opening. It might not go beneath your cervix. Something that can also happen if you don't insert it at an angle is that you go straight and you go in front of the cervix, and then the cup's going to open but not fully, and it's also going to be in front of the cervix, and that's definitely going to leak. So you don't want to do that. Tip number 3. Make sure you're using different types of fold techniques if the first one you try doesn't work well for you. The cup opening is very important for it not leaking. So if you just start with something simple like the C fold or the punch down fold, which I always suggest going for the punch down fold first, those, if they don't work, you need to start experimenting, because you really need, it's basically a trifecta, right? You need the right cup for your body that fits you, you need the right angle of insertion, and you need the right fold. And all of those 3 things combined are what make it open very easily. If you don't have one of those things correct, the whole system is blown off. And so you'll have to do more troubleshooting, more fiddling, and you want that perfect combo where really all you need to do is fold it, insert it, and let it open. And it can happen. It just might not happen on your first cup, unfortunately, but fingers crossed it does for you. Tip number 4 is to use either the labia fold or the punch down fold, because both of these folds give you a nub that helps you push on at the base to help the rim open. So as we discussed in tip 3, use different folds, but if you're looking for a very specific fold that helps get it open at the rim, these are the ones I would choose. Punch down fold, such a good beginner fold. Just push down, and then when you're inserting, you have this little nub to push, and it helps it open. Labia fold is very similar. You push down, and then it has a little nub that comes out, and you can push, and that helps it open. Softer cups tend to work better with the labia fold because the firmer cups just don't have enough flexibility to fold into something so complicated with so many different folds. So that's something to consider. If you have a firmer cup and you want that style of easy push open fold, then you definitely want the punch down. That's going to be your best bet. Tip number 5 is more of a troubleshooting step where you want to feel around the cup once you've inserted to make sure it's fully open. This is a good practice when you're first starting with cups because a lot of times you just can't tell that it's in correctly and open. And even with this tip, sometimes that doesn't work, and I'll tell you why. But it's something in the tool belt that you can try, and certainly some people have found out before it was too late that their cup didn't open all the way by using this tip. So you take a clean finger and you insert and rub around until you feel what might be a dent. And so if you identify a dent, that means you need to troubleshoot it. Depending on the cup, at the very top of the rim, it might have just a tiny little dent. And so when you feel around the base, you can't detect that little tiny dent. So it's not always a guarantee that this is going to find the issue that you're having, but it's one thing you can try. Tip number 6, once you've inserted the cup, one really simple, easy thing you can do to get a leak-free seal is to just kind of gently pull the cup down, not hard, because you know there might be a seal already, but just gently pull the cup down, and that can help the rim completely open just a little tiny bit. That's an easy one. Tip number 7, I ran out of fingers. Tip number 7 is another one that I like, and we'll just call it the pumping action. So you take the base of your cup and you pump, and this pushes a little bit of air and makes the cup move a little bit enough that if the rim is not open, the pumping action might open the rim. So pump, 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 just like a Reebok or like a squeezy bike horn. Just like that. Tip number 8 is probably the simplest and one you might even have seen in your menstrual cups instructions. You insert the cup, and once it's open and high as you want it to be, you just give it a little spin. This can help some of the cups open completely. Now, this doesn't work for cups that are certain shapes, so if you have an ergonomically shaped cup like the Kind Cup or the Fun Cup or the Lily Cup, cups that have an angle where they want to be a certain place in your body, then you don't want to spin it. You want to insert it at the angle it's supposed to be at in your body. Tip number 9 is for the cups that don't have suction holes, and there are quite a few brands. The Marula XL, the Marula One Size, the Lily Classic, these are just a few of the brands off the top of my head that I can think of that don't have suction holes. Also Be Free. So all those might present a unique problem that other cups won't. When it's in the body, it might kind of feel deflated because it doesn't have the ability to have air. So it's sealed and suctioned up here, but the cup is like sucked in. And that doesn't feel like, I mean, it could still work, but it doesn't feel like it's going to work, and you will certainly know that like half of it's dented in. So what you want to do is reach inside and push the rim, assuming you can reach, push the rim in to allow the air to enter the cup so it's suctioned at the top and the body is fully opened. So that's really just for these suction hole lacking cups. I don't experience that kind of deflation and deformation in cups that have suction holes. And then my final tip number 10 is one that I think everyone always says, wow, that's so smart. Why didn't I think of that? Might not be your favorite activity to do, but it definitely helps. So if you feel like the cup is not open completely, you can take a clean finger, insert, and push against the vaginal wall to allow enough space for the rim to fully open. This is a tip that, it's more involved for sure than just spinning the cup or pumping the cup or gently tugging the cup. These are minor troubleshooting things you could do. This one's definitely like, but if it helps your cup open and gives you 8 or 10 or 12 hours of leak-free protection, it's definitely worth it. And I hear all the time that this is what has saved someone's cup using experience. Now that we've gone through 10 different troubleshooting options for you, it can seem like a lot. And if you're watching this before ever trying a cup, I just want to tell you that this is not the case for everyone. It definitely varies, and starting with the right cup for you, or the one that is most likely to work for you, is a way to kind of avoid some of these more extreme issues that you might have with getting your cup to open and to prevent it from leaking. There are so many variables when it comes to menstrual cups. They're quite finicky, so it needs to be the right diameter, it needs to be the right firmness, it needs to be the right length. And that's why I do point people to the quiz, because not everyone who's looking into buying a cup knows about this beforehand. And if you know beforehand, you certainly have a better chance of getting a cup that's gonna fit you, feel good, and not leak. That said, leaks certainly happen, and I'll say one more thing. There is a very strange phenomenon for experienced cup users that they have these breakthrough, unexplained leaks with a cup that's been working for them for years. A lot of times it's because users have just become so comfortable with using cups that they just throw it up there, and they kind of forget some of the best practices of inserting and putting in their menstrual cup, making sure everything feels like it's open, making sure they've gotten the right angle. So that's one reason. And it could just be that your menstrual cup has softened over time, it's not opening the way it used to, or that your body has changed enough over the years that you need a different cup. That can happen too. My body certainly has changed over the years, as have my periods. And when I used to really love menstrual cups, I tried a reusable disc, and now I use those more than menstrual cups because they just seem to work easier and better, and they're less finicky than cups. So if you're tired of the finickiness of cups and you've been at your wit's end trying to every single tip in this video, nothing's working and more, then you might want to consider a reusable disc if you're still wanting to try a reusable product and you're not ready to give up yet. So cups and discs aren't for everyone, but because we have so many options in both, there are variations that work for almost every body type and need. So if you're able to use those products, something out there is going to work for you. That's it for me. Thanks so much for watching, and sorry again about the noise outside. I hope it doesn't come through with the fancy mic as much, but I can't help it, and with kids back in school, I just have to film when I have the opportunity, and hope for the best. Don't forget to subscribe. Find me on Instagram and TikTok at Period Nirvana. And if you need more troubleshooting help, if you're watching this video because you're just at your wit's end and you want some more advice, join the group on Facebook. It's called Period Nirvana Community. I'll link it in the video description below. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Push on the cup to help it open. Ugh. Softer cups tend. Softer cups tend to work better with labia fold. Good Lord. Good Lord. I've been in quarantine for too long.